pour obtenir de la Prusse un arrêt des opérations militaires et puis mettre en place une médiation armée. L'empereur s'y refuse en quelque sorte. Et c'est vrai que, vous l'avez dit, vous avez raison, l'affaire du Mexique joue un rôle néfaste.
Alors pour résumer, pour ceux qui ne connaîtraient pas tout ça, on est allé au Mexique se substituer en quelque sorte à des forces autrichiennes défaillantes pour essayer de soutenir sur le trône d'un hypothétique empire du Mexique le frère de l'empereur d'Autriche, Maximilien. Ça a été un fiasco terrible qui a été voulu par l'impératrice et elle aurait peut-être voulu qu'on en fasse davantage de toutes. On ne s'est pas donné les moyens non plus.
On ne s'est pas donné les moyens et puis surtout, au départ, on est parti avec les Angleterre et l'Espagne, et au final, on s'est retrouvé lâché par tout le monde. Et surtout, ça a hypothéqué la suite, puisqu'en effet, une partie de contingent était au Mexique et n'a pas pu intervenir sur le champ européen.
Alors en face, il y a cette figure d'une force de taureau. Tout à l'heure, je l'ai comparé à un loup. Enfin bon, c'est un homme d'une puissance extraordinaire, d'un caractère comme on en a rarement vu dans toute l'histoire. C'est ce fameux Bismarck, qui est un peu, pardon, mais on a un peu l'impression de la brutalité faite d'homme.
Et c'est-à-dire qu'effectivement, il faut quand même savoir que sur le plan militaire, au moment de la guerre austro-prussienne, il entend bien, lui, supplanter l'état-major, c'est-à-dire que c'est lui qui, en partie, mène les opérations et regarde très clairement ce qu'il faut faire sur le plan militaire. C'est quelqu'un qui, très tôt, a déclaré que les grandes discussions, les grandes questions de notre temps, donc de ce milieu du XIXe siècle, ne se régleraient pas par des discussions, des votes majoritaires au Parlement, mais par le fer et par le sang. C'est quelqu'un qui d'emblée est dans la...
À la différence de Napoléon III, son avenir est devant lui. Il a un très grand projet qui est d'unifier les nations germaniques autour de la Prusse pour constituer un empire allemand, le fameux Reich. Il va y arriver, c'est ça le plus fort. On a l'impression que rien ne peut l'arrêter, même pas les douceurs de Biarritz, si je peux dire. Alors quand même, j'ai découvert en préparant cette émission qu'il avait une petite aventure là-bas, donc il n'était pas toujours aussi morose qu'il en avait l'air, ce Bismarck.
Ah non, pas du tout. D'ailleurs, effectivement, il faut savoir qu'il était lui aussi, comme Napoléon III, un séducteur, et en effet, à Biarritz, il va avoir une relation à Biarritz avec Catherine Orloff, donc l'épouse de l'ambassadeur russe en Belgique, à Pousset. Et c'est pourquoi, en effet, bien Mérimée pourra ensuite imaginer cette mystification avec le portrait de Bismarck en carton pour mystifier Madame.
Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show, and I hope you can hear me. I'm still having problems with my microphone, and let me know if you can hear me okay. What we're going to do today, or this morning, or whatever time it is when you watch this, is just kind of talk about shortwave listening in general, conditions for shortwave conditions for shortwave conditions. I think I better go get another cup of coffee. Anyway, they haven't been that good. They come and they go, but usually they go. So we're going to just try to talk about a couple of things related to how you can improve shortwave listening. And I'm going to talk about something that someone asked me about last week, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. And that is, let me see if I can get this to share my screen. And you will get this mirror effect first. And then I'll minimize that. And now you should see this website, which is the WebSRD website, which is a radio in the Netherlands that's on the internet. And because it's in the Netherlands, the reception in Europe is very good. Now, right now, it's 9 a.m. here in Clearwater, Florida, which means it's about, I think, 1 p.m., 1300 hours UTC. I believe that's correct. I could be wrong. But the person asked me about a week ago is, did you give up on trying to get long wave? Well, I haven't given up. I just haven't tried it recently. And one of the things that I think I can use, and you can use, to help you in your quest for receiving a long wave station is to use this website, which is a radio on the internet in the Netherlands, over in Europe, and tune it to the long wave stations, which you can see right here. It's a bunch of strong long wave stations. And this one right here is the one I was listening to at 183. And it was broadcasting in French at the time. So I have tuned my radio. This is my SDR Play 1, and it's running ham radio deluxe, and I'm using my G5 RV antenna, which is about 120 feet long total. It points northeast, southwest. So that's the long direction of the antenna. And let me just turn the volume up and see if I'm hearing anything. I doubt it. I'm hearing noise. Now, you can see, let me turn this back down. You can see there's some strong signals here. Well, this is the local medium waves band up here. So I'm not interested in that. I know those come booming in. I'm interested down here in this little corner here. And so what I did is I tuned my radio to the same frequency. And let's go back. Let me hide that. Let's go back to this same frequency, because you can see on this waveform, there's 183 is a really strong station. Well, strong over there in Europe, but I'm not getting anything. So that's what I plan on doing, is I'll keep using this to tell me that there are stations out there, and then try to pick them up on my radio. Okay, so that's where we're at. Let me see what's in the chat room, if anybody. Okay, Glenn, I'm going to put a link for all, because I've got about a dozen websites I'm going to touch on. And I'll put all those links, excuse me, in the description below this video. Now, the link for this particular website is pretty easy. It's websrd.utw, so on. Just search for WebSRD in Google, and it'll show this website. Okay, let's see what else is in the chat room. It's raining in Texas. Oh, I've been doing rain dances and everything, trying to get some rain here in Florida. My yard is like supposed to be green, and it's brown. It's in very brown. And I've been watering, but unfortunately I don't have a well, so I'm using city water. And of course, they charge me for the water, and they charge me for the sewer that would normally take the water away if I was using water in the house. And the only way you can get around that is that if you want to do a bunch of watering, say you just put down some fertilizer or something, you can call the city and ask for them to come out and check your watering habits, and they will give you a break in that they won't charge you for the sewer. Now, if you're filling up a pool, for instance, they'll do the same thing. There is another option, which is, I call it dirty water. The city has dirty water. And last year, or year before last, they put the pipes in for dirty water in my neighborhood. Never been here. And I thought, yay, okay. And it was, I think it's like $25 a month. And it's all the water you can use. Well, unfortunately, when I inquired about getting hooked up, they said, well, we're not going to hook anybody up in your neighborhood unless everybody applies to get hooked up. Well, that ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. So that water just sitting out there. They spent all that money for the pipes and everything. It's going nowhere, except they put in flower beds in the middle of the street, and they connected that water system to that. And when they first put in the plants and the flowers, they turned the water on about 2 or 3 times a week. That was 5 months ago. They have never turned the water on since. So those plants are going to die. Anyway, how did I get onto that subject? Let me go back to the chat room and see if I can get back on track here. It's snow in Oklahoma. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 741. I've been trying for over a year to hear a long wave station. I mean, a real station, not just a beacon or anything like that. Unsuccessful. Oh, thanks. If I don't really want any snow, that's okay. Yeah, Andrew, that the putting in that water, the dirty water, was a complete waste of money. And it's beginning to appear there are people on the city council that have interest in some of this construction, because they put all this roundabouts and flower pots and trees and bushes, all that stuff in on our street, which is, there's nothing special about our street. It's just another street in the city. And they've already done this like in 2 or 3 places in the entire city. And now it's a mess because people are angry. So instead of these roundabouts, which people don't know how to use, I can't believe that people don't know how to use a roundabout. For instance, they'll come up to the roundabout and they want to turn left, they'll just turn left. What you're legally supposed to do is supposed to go around the roundabout to turn left. So they've already had like 3 or 4 accidents at that roundabout. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that. What a waste of money. What a waste of money. Hi, Golan. How are you doing this morning? So let's get back to the subject at hand. So this is what I've been, like, once again, attempting to do, is to hear a long wave station here in Clearwater, Florida. The problem, one of the problems is I'm on the wrong side of Florida. I'm on the West Coast, and it'd be better if I was on the East Coast. But that's no excuse. We'll do it. We'll get it. Okay, let's move on. Now let's talk about, okay, here's one more website. This is a website I found this morning about long wave reception. Has all these public little articles about long wave, some websites for information on long wave, some software for long wave reception. Kind of neat little site. Again, I will try to put all the links to these websites that I show you this morning in the description below after the show is released. All right, let's move on. If you have any questions or comments, please. I was just looking at the chat room, trying to figure out what was. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got off on that tangent. It upset me. It upsets me every time I think about it. All right, moving on. Okay, here is. I usually go to Solar Ham for looking at the conditions of the solar weather, because the solar weather will depend. It's one of the factors that your shortwave reception is dependent on. The solar flux index, for instance. Here's another one I found. Again, I'll put the link in. This is spaceweatherlive.com. And here's a couple of charts that are constantly being updated. Here's the solar cycle progression, some sunspot numbers. This is the number of sunspots. And you can see we're in the toilet. We want sunspots. We don't have any. We haven't had any for a while. So that's not too good. Down here is the solar flux index. You want that typically to be above 100. That's kind of ideal. This is what it's been for the last 15 years. And this is the red is the prediction. It doesn't look too good. Again, you want this number to be above 100. So back in 2000, and this peaks every 11 years, typically, and meaning it gets better. So you see, you had 100, almost 200 here, back here, good days. And then back in 2015, kind of when I started my show, solar flux was not too bad, but it's in the toilet and it looks like it's going to remain there. But that doesn't mean there won't be occasions when the solar flux goes up. So don't give up. Don't give up. Like we had some activity back here. We had 12 sunspots back on March 31st. And to remember, the doctor who does these shows on the solar weather said that we would have a good weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't notice anything. And then here's the spotless days. You've had 55 here in 2018. So that kind of gives you an indication why shortwave listening has been poor. Now there's two major things. One is a number of the big broadcasters have shut down on shortwave. The other is that conditions for reception have not been that good. There's plenty of stations out there still, just receptions is not that good. I can't even get China radio. And I used to get China radio every morning, booming in. This was 6 months ago. All right, let's move on. Now, here's an indication. This is, excuse me, a website that I've showed you many times and I use a lot, is this short-wave.info, which is a listing which he updates quite often of the stations that are on the air at any given time or any given frequency. And as you can see, let me update this. Go back up here, and any station broadcasting in English, so this is specific to English, not all the stations, that right now I'll say go, does an update, and you can see on the map, there's all kinds of stations that are broadcasting right now. But unfortunately, I can get these that are clustered around me. I can get those stations. But over here in Asia and Europe and Africa, nah, I cannot get them, no matter how hard I try. Occasionally, like I say, conditions will prove, and they come booming in. You never know. You never know. So it's not that the stations are all gone. It's that many of the big ones are gone, ones with big, powerful transmitters, and other ones you just can't hear. That's another source of information. Now, here is one of my other favorite websites, which is swling.com, which has tons of information about, in general, shortwave radios. Does touch on other things. He's always updating us. And here's an article I found about getting a lot out of your shortwave radio. These are things that you can do to improve your reception. Now, let me take a break here, check the chat room. Morning, Nick. How you doing? Karen, good morning. Okay, so here's some things you can do to improve your shortwave reception. First one is check your shack home for RFI. As I mentioned several times, my office, which is where I am right now, there's no way, like this radio right here, the C Crane radio right here, there's no way I can use a radio like that and use its built-in telescopic antenna and hear shortwave in my office. There's just too much interference. Interference from routers, modems, computers, clocks, cell phones. You can't do it. Now, I can go in another room, which doesn't have any of that stuff, and it's okay. But ideally, you got to get outside. I think he mentioned this later on. So RFI can kill any reception. Yeah, here it is. Take your radio outside. That'll help things tremendous. Take your radio outside, go to a park which has power lines are far away from you. Reception is much better. And plus you get outside, unless, like some of the people in the chat room, it's snowing. I don't want to do that. All right, let's look at the chat room. Hey, Lewis is here. Hey, Lewis, how has the shortwave reception been in Los Angeles? Are you able to get like China radio? All right, moving on. Make a simple wire antenna. I've said this 1,000 times. Two things. You can make a simple wire antenna with just a long piece of wire and a clip like this shown right here. Or better yet, if you want to listen inside, install a outside antenna, but make sure you bring the signal in through shielded coax cable to keep that RF that's in your room from getting on that antenna. If you just use a piece of long wire and bring it into your house and you've got RFI in your house, it's just like you're using that telescopic antenna that I showed you that ain't going to work in the house. So remember that. I've done many shows where I've taken a long wire antenna to the park, for instance, and strung it up in a tree or something simple, and it improves reception. Unbelievable. You can make one or you can buy one. One of those ones on the reel, they're about $10. Now this is a suggestion that I don't totally agree with, which is using batteries. I don't totally agree with that, but definitely agree that using a radio or shortwave listing on batteries is better than using it on an AC adapter. Now, if the radio has the proper filtering and transformers built into the radio that keeps the AC RFI from getting into the radio, use the AC. My Grundig 750 comes with an adapter and no problems. I would not bother using batteries on that at all. But other radios, especially these newer, inexpensive Japanese radios that have a DC input line, which means you have to use like a wall wart to provide power or USB to provide power, that's a no-no. You don't want to do that. So I kind of agree with what he says using batteries. You definitely, I've learned that definitely don't want to use batteries in a Grundig 800. It uses D-cell batteries. I think it uses like 9, and it'll eat those batteries instantly. I forget that. I finally, one of my subscribers sent me the proper adapter for that radio, and what a difference. I had bought 2. Well, the radio came with an adapter. I bought it used. The radio came with an adapter, which was not the original adapter. And the guy told me, he says, you won't be able to listen to shortwave with this AC adapter. And he was right. And then I bought 2 different ones that were supposed to be for the Grundig 800, and same thing, total noise, RF noise on shortwave, useless. One of my subscribers sent me a proper one, and it works fine. It works perfect. So there you go. Okay, number 5, listen with headphones or earphones. If you're trying to receive weak signals on shortwave, this is a definite thing that will improve, because there could be signals there that are coming through the mic speaker, and you don't hear them because of ambient noise in your room. Like you might be hearing a lot of ambient noise right now because I've got the overhead fan on and an oscillating fan, because it's 84 degrees in my office right now. Now that's another whole subject by itself, in that we have a 2-story house and we only have a single air conditioning unit system. And if it's 78 downstairs, which is the ideal temperature for me, it'll still be 83, 84 upstairs in my office, because I have so many electronics on it. So constantly, because that, I have to keep a fan on. Now, if the fan right now is annoying, I didn't think about it, let me know and I'll shut it off. And then I'll get me a towel so I can dry myself off when I start sweating. All right, let's go back to the chat room. G. Bryden, thanks for coming by from Canada. Toronto, I couldn't say Toronto. Cook Rick 55, he's in the UK. Thanks for stopping by. And Andrew from Greenland, Australia. Now, Andrew in Australia, you can probably still hear China radio, which I can't. Illinois citizen. Do I listen to the fire department? Yes, I do listen to the fire department. Here in Pinellas County and in Florida, we have a lot of business for the fire and EMS. On any given day, especially the weekdays, but on any given day, there can be 15 to 25 things going on. And on a couple of shows, I've shown that listing that I can see of all the fire and EMS activity. They have a website that you can watch that. And I listen to the scanners on the internet because they've gone digital, and I don't have the digital scanners that will listen to it, but there is a digital scanner in Pinellas County that I can listen to and hear the activity. And it's busy, busy, busy. One person noted in a show I think I did last Saturday that there were sirens going on all during my show. Well, that's because there's so much activity. So yes, I do listen to fire and EMS via a scanner radio that's on the internet on radioreference.com. Hey, James, glad you stopped by. Ah, a viewer from Russia. Great. And what else? Yeah, I thought you would get China radio all the time there. I used to get China radio every morning. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine moved to China to be a host on China radio, and he was American, but unfortunately, he's disappeared. I have not been able to contact him for 6 months, and he's no longer on CRI. I don't know what happened there. Very strange. All right, moving on. We got up to number 5 here. I'm not going to get through one website, but a lot of these other websites are duplicates. He says, learn to use exalted carrier reception. I've never learned to use that. It's basically, as it says down here, it's basically listen to an AM broadcast using single sideband. That way you get rid of some of the interfering stations. It's kind of touchy to do that. I have not mastered it by any means. Where are we at? Number 7, use a web receiver. That's what I said just a few minutes ago. Matter of fact, I've got it running right there. There's a web receiver. Now, there are many other websites that have these receivers. This is just one. And I've done shows on using those web receivers. Cool idea. For instance, and they're all over the world. And you can tune, like I can tune this radio. For instance, let me just show you. I'm at 183. I'm down at 183. That's this big signal right here. I can choose this signal right here. Well, I said I could. There we go. It moved over there. Now I'm at 23390. If I turn the audio back up.
Et 10 contrats de favoris, le 16 Belabis malheureux à la fin.
There you go.
2 contrats, la bonne combinaison, le 6, le 15, le 14, le 3 et le 16, le numéro plus 2250.
I'm thinking that's French. So, yeah, here's a web-based receiver. Okay, where was that? Oh, boy. Here it is. Okay, use a web receiver. Here's some he mentioned. Global tuners. There's a bunch of receivers on global tuners. This is the one I was on right here. University. And then the next one is, finally, practice listening. Yes. And as a title of this show says, don't give up. Band conditions can improve instantly. And the thing is, part of the fun of shortwave listening is searching for those stations. And a lot of people log what they find, log the stations that they find. So don't give up. Okay, I think we covered everything there. Let me take a break and look in the chat room. $13,670 is in English on CRI. There's probably no way I can get that, but I'm going to just try. So let's go to here, and this is Ham Radio Deluxe connected to my SDR Play 1, connected to my C-Box G5 RV antenna. Let's go up there what he's talking about. What did he say? 13,670. Okay, that's way up there. That's not that far up there. There we go. 13,670. Oop. Okay, what do we have there? Because we're way up there in frequency. And I don't really just turn the audio up. Do I hear anything? Just barely. Change the bandwidth here so I can see it a little closer. Oh, that's the smallest. Okay. Change it down here. Ooh, which one of these I want? Did you hear that? It's a male voice. Really weak. There's nothing right there. There's a signal right here. There's something there. Really weak. Really weak. Thanks for that information. Cookie Rich 55. Thank you. We caught something. That's another thing that I'm trying to figure out a way how that we can inform each other when band conditions have improved, because right now we're really struggling to find when band conditions are good. All right, let's move on. Where was I? I was here. Okay, we did all that. Let's go to the next one, and that is a WikiHow webpage and how to use your shortwave radio. And then here's some steps about comparing radio and radio features, whether you should spend a little extra money and get single sideband on a radio, antennas. That's one of the biggest things that I think can improve your reception is an antenna and an outside antenna, even if it's just a long arm. I've done reviews on many antennas that you can get. Some you can get from eBay. There's some good antennas on eBay. That's the one thing you can do. All right, let me check the chat room. Okay, so people are trying out that 13690 to see if they can get China radio. All right, the next thing, like I say, some of this is a duplication. Become familiar with shortwave bands, where things are. My most popular shortwave band for broadcast, international broadcast, is the 31-meter band. That's my most popular. Not the only one, that's just my most popular. Scan the radio bands and find content. Yes, that's what I'll say. Search. Just turn your radio on and search, see how conditions are. And this is talking about you can request a card from the radio station if you send them a report on when you received their transmission, what was on, how well it was received, the time of day, of course. You can get many of the stations will send you a card like this one right here, or individuals. Hams will send you a card. I think that's about it. Yeah. So that's another little piece of information about how you can improve your shortwave listing. All righty. The Andrew says he's looking at an amplified loop. Now remember, any kind of amplification, external amplification, if you got RFI, it's going to amplify that too. So another thing you can look at is what's called a pre-selector, which will narrow down the signal coming to your radio. So it's a narrower band. Now, as I've shown in previous shows, I have a problem with medium wave stations bleeding in on shortwave. And I forgot that on my setup I have right now, I have a medium wave filter in the line with the antenna. Otherwise, medium wave station 8, I think it's 820 or 860, bleeds all over the shortwave band, and I can't get away from it. Well, I have to use a filter. This is a recent occurrence. This just started about 6 months ago. All right. Yes, Golan, the Wellbrook antenna is an awesome antenna. It's also very expensive. If I could find one of those used, I'd snatch it up. All righty, let's see. This station, again, provides information about shortwave listening and how to improve it. And he goes into a lot of details for the beginner shortwave listener. Talks about the types of signals that are on shortwave, the bands. Here's the international broadcast bands, aviation bands that are on shortwave. They're still active, not as much, but they're still active. And what it is when aircraft get outside of the range for VHF, say like they're going across the Atlantic or something, they have to switch to HF. They still do that. Maritime, I haven't heard too much on maritime, but I can say that I've been listening to I'll get out in a minute, listening for maritime communications on shortwave. I haven't done that much lately. Something I need to go back to. Amateur and CB, clandestine, and others. So here's some suggestions about where to listen and what's on. All right, we'll move up to this one. And this is a AM reception guide. Again, it's a bunch of tips on how to improve your AM reception. Talks about interference again, sources of interference. Now, here's a bunch of sources of interference. Let me just see how many I've got in this room. Fluorescent lights, no. Twinkling Christmas lights, no, but I do have LED lights. Television, not on. Computers and monitors. As I mentioned before, I counted them. I have 14 computers and about 4 monitors in this room. I don't have the vacuum cleaner turned on. I don't have the microwave turned on. I don't have electric blanket, not in this room. Scanners. Yeah, I got scanners. Cell phone chargers. Oh, yeah, I got all kinds of chargers plugged in. Air purifiers. Ultrasonic motion detectors. I do have that because I have some motion detectors that when I walk in the room, they turn some lights on. So I got that. I got a lot of those. Then it talks about things you can turn off. Pretty good reference. It talks a lot about interference. Timed radio recorded. Now, I've discussed that in the past, and recently I've talked about recording capabilities of SDR software. And that comes in handy when you can't be at your radio all the time, or even like overnight or something like that. You can record the activity, play it back later, and say, yeah, maybe tonight I'll stay up late and see if I can hear that station live. Yeah, that's a good idea. We check the chat room again. Yeah, David, I'm having a pretty good day today. I'm praying for rain. We need rain here in Florida really bad, and they say it's on the way, but it may peter out before it gets to us, and that's what it's done all week. The cart's coming down Florida, coming down, gets to about the middle of or mid to upper part of Florida, and then it rains itself out, and it doesn't get here. So that's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to the next station. Website. Because this is another good general information about shortwave radio and shortwave listening by Mr. Atkins. Here's the basics of shortwave radio. Talks when's the best time to listen to certain frequencies, what frequencies to listen to at night, and what frequencies to listen to in the daytime. And then down here, how to maximize reception on your shortwave radio. Reception is usually best near a window or having an outside antenna. Longer antenna usually better for shortwave listening. That's true. That's the shortfall of portable radios and their little built-in telescopic antennas. Those antennas are too short for listening to shortwave. You know, maybe 20 years ago when we had a lot of powerful stations and the solar flux index was good, you could use a built-in telescopic antenna. Nowadays, it ain't going to happen. You might get lucky when conditions are good, but it ain't going to happen. I did a little experiment last week, and I had, I think it was a Texan PL310 ET radio, which is a pretty good little radio. And I had it scan the entire shortwave band using its built-in telescopic antenna. It didn't find a single station. Not a single station. I connected just a long wire antenna. I was outside. The long wire antenna was about maybe 15 feet, just stuck up in a tree. And wow, what a difference. I probably picked up probably 15 stations, although most of them were within the United States. But without that, just using the telescopic antenna, I would have said this radio either no good or it's broke. So keep that in mind. All right, we're going to move on to the next because I got a bunch more websites to show you. Be a little briefer. This one is, and this is a strange website. It's cslugteam.com. Never heard of this, and I just found out this morning. And here is an article on the best shortwave radios for 2018. And look what's on the top of his list. The Grundig 750. That's my go-to radio. That and the 800. But the 800 has just, the price has gone out of sight. Actually, the 750, the price has gone out of sight. It's over $350 now. I think I got it when it was like $250. Great radio, my go-to radio. Now here is the Texan PL 880 portable radio. I don't like that radio. And the reason I don't like that radio is, number one, I got one of the initial production releases when it first came out. A whole bunch of the features were not documented. And the reason they were documented, because the design had never been completed and it didn't work very well. So I attempted to return that radio. I had had it maybe for a week. And the dealer in the United States gave me a hard time about returning it, and they wanted me to pay a restocking fee and all this garbage. Well, I finally got him to approve returning it, and I waited about 6 months, and they came out with a revision to the software or firmware, which was supposed to fix some of these problems. So I got that revision, and it was a little better, but my particular radio on single sideband, it didn't work. It was just, you never could tune in the stations. Now, other than single sideband, it was pretty good. But I was really hoping that would be a good radio, because that's one of the few recent radios that have a lot of functions. Unfortunately, half of them are not documented because they never finished the design. So anyway, now this is the KA5000. I reviewed one similar to that, and it was okay. I wouldn't put it in the top 3, not at all, but it was okay. And then down here, he talks about buying a shortwave radio, what to consider. And there's many things to consider: the frequency range, accessories. So here's the list again. Eaton is number 1. Here's some information about the Eaton. Here's the Texan PL 880, number 2. Again, I don't like that radio. Maybe there's been a 3rd or 4th revision to the firmware and it fixed the problem. Maybe. I don't know, because I gave up on it. Here's the Kato 500. Now here's a radio I like, and I have. The Sangean ATS-909X. I like that. I have the white, I don't have the black. Here's the Eaton satellite radio. I was disappointed with this radio. I thought it would, because this was a part of the satellite line by Grundig, which Eaton bought out. And there was a couple of quirky things I didn't like. This overall, it was a pretty good radio. This is a radio that I've reviewed. I like quite well. This is Sony. There's the Crane. It's not a bad radio, but it's very expensive compared to other radios with the same features. And then it goes to a public alert radio. What's that doing there? I don't know. What's that got to do with shortwave? And here's the Texan PL 380. Pretty good little radio. Another weather radio. I'm confused what the subject is here. And then here's some discussions about shortwave radios in general. Let me take a look at the chat room. Yes, Golan, the ATS 909X, which I pointed out many times, is deaf with the built-in whip antenna. And so you really, really, if you want to listen to shortwave on that radio, you need an external antenna, which I mentioned 3 or 4 times in this show. Built-in telescopic antennas, and you're using that in your house, it's not going to work that good. All right. Yeah, Andrew, I agree with you. Using built-in antennas for shortwave, forget it. Wasting your time. All righty. Let's move on here. We're about only halfway through these websites. Well, we're about halfway through. Oh, no, it's 9:51 already. Ooh, this show might go a little long. Here's a website that it's kind of funny. It's got a funny title. Turn that damn thing off. And I'm quoting here. Things he wish he knew when he started out listening to shortwave. And he talks about a couple of radios that he bought, different types of activity, as is mentioned before, antennas. I love this picture here. Oh, that's funny. And then he gives a lot of details here on this website. It's about grounding, listening to world broadcast, where to find information about stations such as the WRTH World Handbook, which I did a giveaway of one of those not about 3 or 4 months ago, and the guy or person that won never responded. So I'm getting kind of burnt out on giveaways because people are entering contests and then they never, if they win, they never claim it. So yeah, this is a lot of information. This is a big article. Goes on and on and on and on. That's a great website. Now here's one that really surprised me, and I didn't realize that the Nuts and Bolts magazine, it was an electronic magazine that I used to get 25 years ago, and it was loaded with just detailed information about playing with electronics. Well, they're still available. And here is an article from them on receiving data with a low-cost shortwave radio. And it goes into discussions of shortwave radios, how to pick them. This is a good radio. This is a DGen 1103. This is a good. Has a very unique display here. This is an LCD display. It shows the frequency up here numerically, and it doesn't show up on the screen. I guess it got blanked out because of the flickering. But it has a line across the screen here that when you dial, it moves up and down. Pretty unique. Good reception. Good reception. Then it tells you about single sideband, how that works, calibrating your BFO for single sideband, some data modes you can play with, listen to. Lots of good information. Weather facts that you can still hear, weather facts on shortwave. You can still get this. Another great website and article. There's another 10 best shortwave radios of 2018. This person puts Texan PL 880 first, the Kato KA 500 second, and boy, I don't agree with this. The PL 360 third, no Grundig or Eaton so far. The CC Crane. This one, this. I tested one of these, and it was JUNK. It was junk. There's a good one. There's PL 380. That's a good one. The TDO V115, that's a good buy as far as price versus what it can do. Ah, there's my Sanjian. No Texans. There's the KA600. Again, shortwave reception on this radio, not that great. No Grundig radios, no Eaton radios. Kind of makes you wonder. Everybody has their opinion. Let me take a break here and get. I wish I had something to drink. My tea is now gotten hot, so that's not going to taste very good. I like super cold iced tea. All right, let's look at the chat room. Oh, Golem, yes, the Sony ICF 210 is a great radio. I had one and I sold it. This was many years ago. Why I sold it, I don't know. I've been trying to find a good one, a clean one that hasn't been abused on eBay for a reasonable price, meaning around $200 to $250. Ain't happening. I haven't caught it. Yeah, I have the white one also, Andrew. I like it much better than the black one. Performance will be the same, of course. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the most important things you can do to improve your shortwave listening is to get an external antenna. And there's a bunch of them on eBay, of course. And this one right here, for instance, I just did a search on shortwave antennas on eBay. This one right here is the one that I'm going to try to figure out how to say it. I'm trying to not be a smart aleck. I contacted the gentleman that makes these and sells these, and he asked me what did I really want, because he could make one for what I want. Change the length of the antenna and everything for what I want. And I said I mostly listen to the 31-meter band, the standard broadcast band. So he made that antenna for me. I did a review on it. I'm still using it. Well, no, I think I took it down about a week ago for the first time. And it worked great. And here he is now. He sells that on his website, the 31-meter band. Looks like I went to the eBay Canadian. Yeah, somehow I went to the eBay Canadian website, because all these are in Canadian dollars. So he sells this on regular US for US dollars, which will be a little less, I believe. So here's a bunch of them. Here's the Sony AN71. This is like just an antenna on a reel with a clip-on that clips on to your built-in telescopic antenna, and then you can hoist this up in a tree or something outside. Don't want to use this in the house. And then here's some other, oh, there's that KA1103. So eBay is a good place. And let me do something a little different here. Let me go to eBay, not Canada. Then I'll do a search. And now let me do a shortwave antenna search. And here's a bunch of them. There's just tons of them. And I asked this gentleman for one to review, and he didn't send it to me. I think that was one of them. I did not get one. Okay, there's the one I was talking about. It's $29 US dollars. And he makes a bunch of them. Matter of fact, I click on this, and then I click on his name right here, Tim. Yeah, that's his name, Tim. And here's a whole bunch of them that he sells. different frequencies, whatever. And they're very reasonable, and it's all put together. You just hang it up in a tree or whatever and hook up your coax and you're ready to go. And I did a review of several of his antennas. I gave some away. He sent me extra ones. I gave some away. And it's a good buy. It's a good buy. It's a get you up, improve your reception immensely. All right, let's move on. We're almost to the end here of the ones I picked. There's another best shortwave radios. Looks like this is a duplicate of what I showed you before. Not exactly, because it doesn't have those Kato radios. Those KA 500, 600. I'm not sure why they, though, here it is right here. Why these would be on best shortwave radio list. They're not very good shortwave radios. They're a nice little radio with a lot of options, but as far as shortwave reception, they're kind of mediocre. Anyway, let's see what's in the chat. Wrap this up. Okay, I appreciate everybody that stopped by. This is 3 Saturday shows in a row that I was able to do. In the past couple of years, I've done Hangouts and I've been very inconsistent. And I kind of found a time maybe that's good for both myself and my viewers, which is Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. And I'm going to try to do a show every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on shortwave, on scanners, VHF, UHF, you name it. And the beauty of doing a Hangout is I get feedback from my viewers who can make corrections, give me suggestions, and share information with everyone. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're just past 1 hour, which is about all my voice will hold up for, is about 1 hour. And shortwave is not gone. It's just kind of in, how do I say this nicely? It's in the toilet right now. Conditions can change at any time. I try to show you some websites to give you some suggestions of how you can improve your shortwave listening. One of the key ones is a good antenna, outside antenna, or go to a park. You can use your telescopic antenna at a park where you're away from RFI and power lines and stuff like that. But the antenna is way too short for good shortwave reception. Should use even just a long wire plugged into or clipped onto your telescopic antenna to improve your reception. Unless somebody has any other questions, I think I'm going to go to wrap. Go down and get me some cold iced tea. And I appreciate you stopping by and have a great day. Let me check the chat room one more time. Oh, 2 hands and a radio showed up. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, I think that's about it. Everybody have a great day, and we'll catch you next Saturday, if not sooner. Bye-bye.